Welcome back, and today we are going back to Slush 2025, one of the largest entrepreneurship conference in Europe that gathers investors, founders, talents. And today's guest, Andra Bagdonaite, a partner at FIRSTPICK Venture Fund, and we dig into the topics such as builder houses that are becoming really big in the Baltic states, also the AI hype and vibe coding, and how to spot the real AI founder among all the noise. So let's dive in. Real people, real stories, and real challenges that break the status quo. I'm your host, Zivile, and welcome to Perception Paradox. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Perception Paradox, and today we're live at Slush 2025. It's buzzing, it's morning, day one, and yeah, Andrea and I just caught up that, wow, it's only day one and we are already overstimulated and overwhelmed a bit, but also the vibe is really great. Andrea, welcome to Perception Paradox.
Thanks, Zivile. Lovely to be here. And yes, Slush is quite something this year. I loved the slogan when I was walking in.
Yeah.
It said like, "Are you still doubting Europe? Go to hell." And I thought like, oh my God, this is exactly the energy that you want to walk into a conference with.
Yeah, sure. Go to hell. Good that it comes with lots of good sarcasm, I think, and good positive vibes. The Slush. It's always for me like a bit of a company, a bit of a nightclubbing vibe.
It has this vibe when you walk in, you know, of this like club because it's so dark and you have all the lights, and usually like the stage setup is incredibly stylish. So I think it's because it's student organized, you know, they always have the best taste for what is trending and how to surprise people.
Oh, it's ahead of the generations.
Exactly. They're the ones building our future. So,
but you know what I like? It's okay. So now it's my second year in a row. I've been here before COVID. That even 1 year apart, you already see so many great changes and adjustments that it's not that they stuck into the old formats, but they just keep evolving from the media lounge to the setup of the venue. You can see that, I don't know how was it for you. It was crowded, but it was relatively easy to get across the venue.
Yeah. So I think it's very well organized. It's my fourth Slush, and you're right. Like it's always different.
It's always different.
Exactly.
I love it. That's
why people keep coming back.
Perhaps, like I think Peter Sandberg said, like, oh, it's one of the best. It's the best conference in the region. I was like, all right, sure.
That's true. I think in Europe, it's the best in Europe for sure.
Awesome. So I'm very glad that we're here and that you jumped in to find time and have a conversation with me.
Me too.
And what I wanted us to talk about and what we discussed a bit, right? We have this right now huge focus on the vibe coding and AI and builders community, and you together with the FIRSTPICK, you're highly involved, especially what's happening in the Baltics ecosystem. I see it as a frontier pioneers building those communities since the moment you launched the fund. So my first question would be, since someone who has been around for a long time, wrote few tickets. So what makes someone the builder in 2025?
Nice, a good question. So just for a little bit of context, for those that haven't heard about FIRSTPICK, we are a pre-seed investor based in the Baltics. Usually we are the first Czech investor for founders. So we come in very early, right? When there are 2-3 people in the team working on an idea for 6 to 12 months. They have some sort of POC, MVP, and maybe some early validation. So usually we work with founders from the very beginning of their journey. And naturally, we are deeply embedded, like you said, in the community, right? We have strong network across the Baltics, and we want to make sure that we create value for founders even before we invest. So that's why, like, I'm happy to talk about builder communities and everything, because we've been, you know, such a close partner to all of them across the Baltics. When it comes to being a builder, this year has been exceptionally interesting because from the beginning of the year, we saw a big change in the typical founder profile. Whereas back in the day, you know, it used to be someone that has maybe worked in a specific industry for a long time or has worked in a unicorn company or maybe is a serial founder. So like 35 years plus. from the beginning of the year, it felt like a new generation of entrepreneurs are entering the market, the Gen Zs, the 20-year-olds. And this is, of course, enabled by the AI opportunity, right? So from on one hand side, people see a massive opportunity in the market to build solutions for enterprises, for consumers, because, people want to be a part of the AI wave and to reinvent themselves and to make sure that they are keeping the pace. But at the same time, like AI enables people to build products even without having a technical background. And this is a game changer because back in the day, you needed a technical co-founder in the team, or you had to have like some substantial capital to actually fund the product development. Whereas today, because of tools like Lovable, like Cursor, you can build the MVP yourself, even without technical expertise, and test the market, whether there's enough demand to actually then go and build the proper product. So I think the builder definition today really has expanded. And we see a lot of people coming from the creative industries, from marketing positions like growth marketers, that are now becoming builders just because like they are enabled by the AI wave. So there's a bit of a change. Yeah.
And how do you navigate then in between this, what's real, what's not? Because also with the change comes also a lot of overhype that can be very much replaceable, and vibe is not enough to build a scalable, successful company.
Absolutely agree. You're right. Of course, we have a lot of these tourist founders right now, that look at the market and think like, okay, now is a good time to build. There's a lot of money available. AI enables me to build faster and easier. So, of course, you have these tourists. But I think like in general, if you think about companies and whether they create any meaningful value, one of the first things to look at is whether the founders are afraid of new models being launched by the LLMs. And if they are, then most likely they have very limited moat with their product because every new version of the LLMs might replace what they're building. So, it could be image generation, it could be like improvements in voice, whatever it is. If the founders are afraid of new models, then that's already like a very, very big red flag. But in general, when I think about vibe coding and vibe the startups, I look at this as a way to test the market. So like you can build something very small, very fast, and then see if there's enough demand in the market. So you launch some campaigns, you speak with some clients, if it's an SMB or enterprise solution, and you validate the potential product market fit much quicker than in the past. But then if you see that the product market fit is there, of course, you have to invest heavy in the product, and like building on top of some of the tools isn't enough anymore, because then you really need to build the proper infrastructure to make sure, it's safe, it's secure, it's independent. So while it's good for testing and launching, for building and scaling, you just need to go to more traditional ways of building a company.
We have a base space. We see also in other countries approaching and different campuses showing up with different both private and public money support. So what's your take on that? Is it the new way we will start building here in Europe, or how do you see that? Why do you believe in this?
Yeah, I love those builder communities, and I think they have brought amazing energy into the Baltics, something that we have been missing maybe a little bit for some time, because, this is where a lot of young people are based, and they have a different perspective on things. And like I said in the beginning with Slush, young people are the ones that are building the future. So we have to empower them and enable them to create. So we have now 3 builder spaces across the Baltics: base space in Lithuania, room in Estonia, and there's one recently launched in Latvia. So, the groundwork is set, it's there. And builder communities are basically a combination of like community space / incubator / co-working space. People are usually sitting there for a specified period of time, let's say like a couple of months. They get access to the resources of the builder community. So it can be access to mentors, some experienced people that can help with marketing, with growth, with product. And basically, they form teams to test out different ideas that they have. So they might be working on like 2 or 3 ideas at the same time, and then seeing which one sticks. And then they decide to focus on that one and start building a company. So it's a sort of launch pad for testing and developing and then launching new ideas. And I think BaseSpace in Lithuania is the one that started the earliest. And we've actually seen really cool companies coming out of BaseSpace. A couple of them we have invested in, so I'm biased, of course.
Yeah.
But we have invested in TryHolo, Chaseit, Univ, that came out either from BaseSpace or from some of the hackathons that they are organizing. So we see like really a lot of potential in these builder communities, and I think they will be the driving force of new companies being founded in the Baltics, especially for like the Gen Z type of.
And how do you get involved as a fund?
So we have actually supported BaseSpace in multiple ways. Obviously with our energy, time, having like strategy sessions with the guys on like how to turn this into a more sustainable, self-funded model in the future. But we have also invested in BaseSpace because we really believe that there needs to be like, both like financial and strategic support in order to kick this off. We did that together with some of the Lithuanian angel investors from like Vinted, Hostinger, etc. So happy to do that. With Rome and with the one in Latvia, we are mostly helping them out with time and mentoring, our resources, whatever it is that we can. So we want to make sure that, we elevate those founders and those communities because, like I said, they are the driving force of our future.
100%. So we've been talking to you earlier as well, and with some people from your team, how many applications you're receiving per year. Then there is this screening. Then some of the people come to meet you, and you have daily meetings with tons of founders. So what would be your process approaching the screening? And then who makes it to the first interaction and live interview with?
Okay, so I'll try to break it down.
Let's break it down.
I'll try to break it down. So usually we have to probably one step back and think about how we get information about the companies. So they either apply through inbound, fill out the application form, or maybe we get a referral from VCs, founders, our LPs. We meet them at events, or we actually reach them through outbound. So we are the ones reaching out to them. So multiple sources, and based on that, the first interaction might be different. Because if we receive an inbound application, then it goes into our funnel. It is being screened for some of the basic criteria, like are the founders from the Baltics? Does this fit some of the verticals that we invest in? Is this the right stage for us or not? And this is like kind of the initial filtering out. And some of the companies are not a fit to our thesis. So they like immediately get a rejection email because we think that they should probably apply to some other investors. After that, if the company fits the thesis, then usually they have a first call with someone from our team. Typically, it's our investment analyst or associate that does the first call, usually a short one, half an hour. And if it's a good one, if we like the team, if we like what they're building, then they move into this second stage of evaluation, which is a combination of calls, due diligence on our end, because we do like additional market research, competitor analysis, founder referrals. So I would say like 2-3 weeks of this back and forth with the founders while we're trying to build an investment memo for the case. And if we like what we are seeing, then we move the startup to investment committee. So for the investment committee, typically we have one final meeting with all of the partners in the fund. It's a longer one, like 1.5, 2 hours, sort of like workshop meeting where we try to see, can we build this case together with the founders? And if it's a yes, then we proceed and, we talk about the concrete terms of the investment. So that's kind of the usual process. But of course, like if the founders come from a referral or from outbound, we might skip the initial filtering phase just because we already know that this could be a good fit for us.
Okay. And what are the major red flags you see immediately when you enter the room?
Yes, multiple ones.
Where do we begin?
Where do we begin? Exactly. I think like the biggest red flag for us is whether the founders want to do this full time or not. And I know that this is a big decision to make very early stage because you have probably a trade-off of, I don't know, leaving your job or living on a relatively low salary for a specified period in time. But in the end of the day, I think if the founders are not committed to doing this full time, then probably something is wrong with the idea, right? Because if you really believe in it, if you think like this is something that I want to dedicate the next 8-10 years of my life, then probably you should be willing to already put everything aside and just focus on this. So this is one of the red flags that immediately stands out. Next to that, I think like we also look at the round size, at the cap table. This is a bit more technical, but it's also important. Like if, a lot of the equity in the company has already been given away, or if the round size doesn't help the company go to the next meaningful milestone, then it also kind of makes us step back and evaluate the case slightly more. So maybe not a red flag, but a yellowish flag, something that we need to work with and we need to be aware of when speaking with the founders. I think I could go on, especially with the yellow flags, but what we want to see is that the founders really understand what they are building, for which market, for what type of ICP, and whom they are competing against. So these are kind of the fundamentals. And if the founders haven't done the research properly and we know more competitors than they do, then it immediately also raises some questions.
I would say it's a red flag then, not a yellow.
I mean it can be worked around, but I think it leans towards the reddish flag.
In between red and yellow, no?
Exactly.
We meet it's important to be aware of what's out there in the market, even if there is competition, which is not a bad thing necessarily if you have a better way to solve the problem.
It's not a bad thing for sure, because like for a lot of the companies, if you can break into the market the first, usually you need to educate the clients a lot. You need to spend a lot of money on like awareness, right? So sometimes the followers, they can be even more successful. Like, I mean, this is of course like an old example, but if you think about MySpace and Facebook, like Facebook didn't have to do as much education for their target audience because MySpace already existed. So some of the first players can actually elevate and create the right environment for the second player to become the winner in the space. But that's not always the case, obviously.
100%. So look, Andra, you've been in the VC world for quite some time. What do you enjoy the most about being a part of VC and investing into companies, spotting opportunities, being part of such a strong anchor for the ecosystem?
This is such a lovely question. So I've been a VC for 6 years now, which feels like forever, but at the same time, not long enough. Like I was in this breakfast this morning and there was a person next to me who started investing 35 years ago here in Finland. And I thought like, wow, in Lithuania, we didn't even have a venture capital market then. So, it really is incredible. But when it comes to what I love about being a part of this ecosystem, being an investor, is the fact that I can help companies being created, and like we can help the next generation of founders to build something great, to create new technologies, to have an impact on the society, on businesses, on the community, whatever it is. So in the end of the day, I think it's all about the energy and the fact that you are surrounded by people that are ambitious, that want to change the world, that want to create something meaningful and good. And this energy really is addictive. Like you don't see it in other industries so much. So I think there is this give and take. We give energy and then we take it back from the founders, and it's a full cycle.
Yeah. And talking about energy, right? I find that it's a very tiny line in this industry between harmony and burnout. I mean, there's always something happening. The cases are always burning. Someone is always waiting for your report, your final review, or feedback, the founder, whatever. How do you navigate the chaos that also comes together with this industry?
This is such a thoughtful question. I love it. I think when you come from a position of love and when you come from a position of wanting to create rather than destroy, it becomes easier to realize what is it that you want to do, which people you want to spend your time with, and where you want to put in your energy. And when you are in this position, you end up creating even more good things and creating even better energy and creating love in essence, right?
That's beautiful.
So I think like as opposed to that, when you are coming from a position where, you know, you see that there is always a lack of something, that there are always problems, that someone is trying to compete with you, that, you know, someone is better than you compare yourself, etc., then you are in this position where instead of creating, you are diminishing the value, and then you're getting closer to burnout, because every single step that you take is basically draining energy out of you. So I always try to come from this like position of, you know, abundance. And it has really helped me navigate this space, because you're right, like there's always so much going on. You can always feel this FOMO. There's always a million things that you can do. So for me, like, yes, coming from this position of abundance has really helped to understand how I want to carry myself and how I want to elevate our team as well.
So now we are at Slush. So how do you do your preparation for the conferences? Why do you come to the conferences still? And what's your intention?
So every Slush has been different for me. And this is what I love about this conference, that it's so big that you can actually like build out a completely different track for yourself, depending on what is it that you want to do. So this year, because we are fundraising our new fund, most of my meetings and events are focused on fundraising. So I'm meeting LPs, reconnecting with some of the LPs that we already know, also trying to learn, you know, what's the perspective on LPs on the market in general, where do they want to put their money, etc. So I'm doing meetings, breakfasts, drinks, dinners, targeted for this particular audience.
Okay.
But in the past, like I've done, you know, also multiple different things. So I think like that's really the beauty of Slush. That if you want, you can go and meet founders. If you want, you can reconnect with other investors, other GPs. If you want, you can just have a good time.
Whatever is close to your heart.
Exactly. So yeah. So this is, you know, the biggest, I think, asset of such a big conference.
So talking about perspective, so what's the perspective and take right now from investors' point of view and LPs on the Baltic market? Because there's been a lot of hype. We've seen quite some success stories recently. And we've seen quite a big presence, I would say, on the large stages like Web Summit. This year, I think I've noticed way more our founders than ever before being part of ecosystems, having this recognition. So, which is great to see, and would be curious to hear what are you hearing from LPs with whom you're talking.
Yes, so Baltics are still seen as an emerging market with a lot of potential. So right now we have 14 unicorns that came out of the Baltics. And I think this year, Baltic founders raised about $1 billion overall between all 3 Baltic states. So it's big, but if you compare it to some other countries across Europe, then, you know, it might not look big enough. And this is exactly why people still see it as an emerging market. If we look at the median round sizes, they're also still below what you see in the Nordics. So there's still plenty of opportunity for the Baltics to grow. And I think this is why investors are excited. They see that, you know, the growth is there. Good companies are emerging out of the Baltics at all stages, from early stage to later stage. There's going to be a lot of liquidity in the market. Like, I don't know if you saw, but Vinta today, or I think yesterday, announced that they are doing another secondary sale at $8 billion valuation.
No way.
Exactly. So there's going to be a lot of liquidity in the market, a lot of talent being becoming available. So for sure, those success stories inspire people to build, you know, and to start their own companies. Yeah. So when I speak with LPs, they see that, yeah, Baltics has a lot of potential still, and they are excited to back this region. And it's both LPs and GPs, actually. Like, investors also flock into the Baltics. This year, more than half of all the money that was raised by Baltic founders came from foreign investors, actually, not from the local ones. So clearly the interest is there. You just need to, you know, make sure that you actually have good presence in the market and that you work with the right partners.
I think presence is so important. Rather than coming and breaking fast, actually integrating yourself in the ecosystem. What you mentioned, right? Abundance and coming from the good intentions as well, in a way. I don't know how much we can go there. I'm still a firm believer that we can do that. Anyway, let's switch a bit. We're getting closer to the end, and we spoke a lot about, okay, great founders, and we covered the red flags and how exciting it is. But again, with building that hype and excitement, I think we have a responsibility to carry on, to show different sides of the coin. And as you mentioned, we have more and more tourist founders. From your experience, what you have noticed from founders who succeed and founders who fail, whom should not go the founder's way?
I think if you want to be a good founder, you need to have, and I mean, this will sound like a cliche probably, but if you want to be a good founder, you really need to have a lot of passion for what you're building. So you have to be focused and think about the long term, that, you know, you want to build something meaningful for whatever reason it is meaningful for you. So, you know, it can be that you want to change something for consumers. You want to build something for businesses. You want to create this generational company, whatever the way you call it, as long as it brings meaning and purpose for you, then I think you can become a good founder. If you think like, oh, you know, this is a good opportunity for me to make money in the short run, probably this is not the best job, if you can call it the job, not the best position to pick, because it requires so much time and so much energy and so much dedication. And if you want to make money, probably you can do better by, I don't know, just like launching a regular business, an e-commerce, dropshipping company, whatever, because there's money there, and then you can have the quick wins. But being a founder is about building something meaningful, actually.
Something bigger than yourself.
Exactly, something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
You're so right.
So, Andra, we're getting closer to the end, and I always like to leave listeners with a thought to ponder. What would be your thought to everyone who has listened today to our conversation, just to continue their day through?
I think something that has really changed me and my life is this thought about living from abundance, right? So if there's something I would love the listeners to keep in their heads while they're, I don't know, commuting or whatever it is that they're listening to this podcast to, is to think every single day, how can I come from the point of abundance? How can I come from the point of creation, of positivity, of good energy? Because it will change your life and it will change the life of the people around you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, today I had with me Andra Bagdonaite from FIRSTPICK, and she just shared her investment philosophy, also views, and thank you very much for finding time and being here with us today. Finally, we made it.